between the static noise. Passing headlights flicker like forgotten nights. Somewhere far behind me tonight. Interstate motion, leaving the city somewhere behind. FM signals tearing through the night. Mellow tunes pouring from the car stereo. Interstate motion, cracking the window open just enough, letting the wind carry all scars away. The kind of loneliness only midnight understands. Bitter coffee in a paper cup, taillights fade inside the rearview mirror. A low-voice DJ talks slow through the dark, like he already knows every part of this night. Tomorrow's reality still feels far away. Road noise gently covers everything. Right when the next chorus starts again, old memories shimmer across the glass. Somewhere between the streetlights and static, the radio was the only thing staying close. Whatever waits at the end of this road, I don't want this groove to stop tonight. Interstate motion, chasing the echo of FM waves. Neon and melodies melting into black, passing signals from another time. Interstate motion, while the whole world falls silent. One last station before the morning light, and this interstate still keeps rolling on. Blue meter lights bleeding across the dashboard. AM jazz fading out beyond the state line. The interstate stretching toward the horizon. Driving like I'm chasing distant radio waves. Outside the window, the city breaks into fragments. Only the red tail lights drifting away. Still staring into the glow of the rearview mirror. Nothing left now but the pulse of the engine. Beyond the glow beneath softly on my fingertips. Even the long haul trucks are almost gone. A saxophone echoes deep up inside the speakers, swallowed by static, then fading again. Diner signs pass by like restless ghosts. Every mile pushes the city further away. I'm not really racing toward anywhere, just listening to the asphalt hum beneath me. Faraway stations fading in and out, only fragments of melodies remain. Like the night refuses to end, repeating itself again and again. Neon fades out, the lights disappear beyond the edge of town. Unreachable signals and a sleepless heart still drifting somewhere between the shadows. Neon fades out, but I keep driving anyway, before the final song disappears. Neon fades out. There's no answer waiting anywhere, only distant voices fading into the dark. But somewhere between the waves of static, breathing feels a little easier tonight. Neon fades out, beyond the sinking city lights. The final broadcast still goes on, like it's guiding me somewhere home. Fades out, rolling through these empty lanes, deep inside the fading radio glow. I finally ease off the speed. Maybe I just need to keep moving. Only these endless curves keep the world from closing in around me. One more turn tonight, tail lights disappearing into midnight blue. There's no grand answer waiting out there. I just wanna keep driving a little longer. One more turn tonight, watching the skyline drift farther away, just for a little while longer. Don't make me carry tomorrow yet. Be on the quieter side of the interstate. Only taillights drift through the night. Drive through lights after closing hours. White reflections sliding across the glass. An upbeat DJ laughing through the FM. Amber gauges swaying through the dark. Sliding through the late night boulevard. The city's heat still hanging in the air. Moonlight drifting across the windshield. Tire sounds echo beneath the overpass. Before the morning starts getting closer, I still wanna stay inside this night. Last song on FM, carrying the final melody tonight. Last song on FM, gliding through roads that never sleep. Late night rhythms flowing from the radio, melting softly into silent streets tonight. The night still feels far from over. Taillights drifting slowly through the mirror. Red neon fading somewhere in the distance. Late night air beginning to cool down, still holding traces of the weekend heat. Between the breaks in the radio, night air drifts into the silence. Every curve I slowly flow into white lines, stretching endlessly ahead. Notifications glowing from the passenger seat. Only headlights flowing through the dark. Moving at a speed nobody notices, outrunning the edge of early morning. Last song on FM, freeway reflections flowing endlessly. Last song on FM, passing through endless lines of light. Late night melodies drifting from the radio, moving with the breathing of the streets tonight. Dashboard lights sway quietly in the dark. Interstate stretching deep into the distance. The sky before sunrise slowly fading blue, leaving only tire sounds in the darkness, flowing through the boulevard before dawn. Last song on FM, for morning. Headlights cutting through the overpass lanes. The sky before sunrise slowly drawing closer. Past the quieter side of the boulevard, 24-hour signs glowing through the dark. Latest songs drifting softly from the radio. Amber gauges swaying through the night, sliding through the late night freeway slowly. White lines fading quietly behind me now. Cars growing fewer along the boulevard. Only the headlights keep flowing through the dark. Before the first train starts running again, I still wanna stay inside this night. Before the first train, carrying the leftover heat of neon. Before the first train, gliding through roads that never sleep. Melodies drifting softly from the late night radio, moving with the breathing of the streets. Tonight, the night still feels far from over. Tail lights drifting slowly through the mirror. Drive-through lights sliding past the window. Late night air beginning to cool down, still holding traces of the weekend heat. Beyond the faded late night broadcast, quiet synths floating through the darkness. Every curve I slowly flow into changes the outline of the city lights. Intersection lights beginning to blink. Tire sounds echoing beneath the overpass. Moving at a speed nobody notices, outrunning the edge of early morning. Before the first train, freeway reflections flowing endlessly. Before the first train, passing through endless lines of light. Late night melodies drifting from the radio, melting softly into silent streets. Tonight, the dashboard lights still softly glow. Interstate stretching deep into the distance. Dark blue colors fading into the sky, leaving only tire sounds in the darkness, flowing through the boulevard. Before sunrise, before the first train, reflecting traces of fading neon. Before the first train, tracing outlines hidden in the dark. Amber dashboard lights still softly swaying, pulling me into another waiting curve. Tonight, the city amber gauges swaying through the night. Inside the wind, beneath the overpasses, only the heartbeat of the city speeds up. Every time the traffic lights turn green, now headlights start moving all at once. It's still far too early for the city to sleep. Too much heat still hanging in the air. City static, heart, a faded midnight radio. City static, heart, passing through endless lines of light. Boulevard reflections flowing endlessly, melting into rhythms after midnight. Tonight, the city heartbeat never slows down. Taillights reflecting in the tower windows, white diner lights glowing after hours. Beyond the freeway, leading toward the coastline, deep blue colors slowly growing darker. Slightly faded late night broadcast, midnight grooves drifting from the radio. Every curve I slowly slide into changes the outline of the night again. Passing underneath the elevated shadows, flickering streetlights sway above the road. Moving at a speed nobody notices, outrunning the deep blue of the weekend. City static, heart, sleepless freeway frequencies tonight. City static, heart, carrying leftover neon heat. A rhythm echoing deep inside the radio, moving with the breathing of the streets. Tonight, this night still keeps on running free. Taillights flowing far into the distance, only tire sounds lingering behind. Midnight skylines trembling through the glass, night winds quietly carrying the speed. City static, heart, reflecting traces of fading neon. City static, heart, gliding through the midnight boulevard. Amber dashboard lights still softly swaying, pulling me into another waiting curve. Tonight, the city heartbeat still goes on. Weekend highway lights keep drifting by. Distant city glow swaying in the dark. Past the quieter side of the boulevard, a late night diner still shines ahead. An old familiar song fills up the cabin, amber gauges glowing through the night, cutting through the ocean-colored night breeze. White lines rushing quickly behind me now. Every time the traffic lights turn green now, softly through the windows. White lights shining from the gas station, parking lights drifting through the mirrors, distant laughter floating through the night air. A city still reflecting after hours like a slightly faded late night broadcast. Midnight groove stretching toward the coastline. Every curve I slowly flow into the night breeze keeps pulling me ahead, passing underneath the elevated shadows. Orange street lights starting to dissolve, moving at a speed nobody notices. I run in the deep blue of the weekend, past the OFFRAMP freeway, reflections flowing endlessly. Past the OFFRAMP, passing through endless lines of light. Melodies drifting softly from the radio, beating in time with the pulse of the streets. Tonight, this night still refuses to fade away. Tail lights stretching far into the distance, deep blue colors slowly growing darker, leaving only tire sounds in the distance, flowing through the midnight boulevard. Past the OFFRAMP, reflecting traces of fading neon. Past the OFFRAMP, tracing outlines hidden in the dark. Amber dashboard lights still softly swaying, pulling me into another waiting curve. Tonight, ocean air keeps drifting through the night. Ocean air slips softly through the windows. White lights shining from the gas station. Parking lights drifting through the mirrors. Distant laughter floating through the night air. The city still reflecting after hours life. Slightly faded late night broadcast. Midnight groove stretching toward the coastline. Every curve I slowly float into the night. But breeze keeps pulling me ahead. Passing underneath the elevated shadows. Orange street lights starting to dissolve. Moving at a speed blue of the weekend. Midnight blue drifting through the freeway lanes. High-rise towers flicker in the distance. Nearly empty interchange reflections. White lines rushing quickly behind me now. Familiar FM filling up the cabin. Amber gauges glowing through the night. Lights outside the window keep accelerating like the city's heat is falling behind. Past the intersection, changing signals. Headlights ripple forward like a wave. Shadows from the cold office buildings. Yet the road still refuse to sleep tonight. Empty lanes still glow, reflecting leftover neon heat. Empty lanes still glow, gliding through roads that never sleep. A rhythm echoing deep inside the radio, melting softly into midnight skies tonight. The lights still haven't faded out. Elevated highways drifting through the mirror. Red tail lights dissolving like a river. 24-hour signs still glowing softly. Someone else's night still moving on. A late night program slightly out of focus. Midnight grooves drifting through the FM. Every curve I slowly flow into changes the outline of the night again. Passing underneath the elevated shadows. Orange street lights starting to dissolve. Moving at a speed nobody notices, chasing deeper into the rest of night. Empty lanes still glow, freeway reflections never sleeping. faded out. 3 a.m. on the glass-lit highway, pale blue lights drift across the window. Aircraft warning lights above the towers, bleeding softly like a quiet signal. A late-night broadcast slightly out of focus, someone's voice still floating through the FM. Every time I pass another taillight, the city breathing closer to me now. Through the gaps between the overpasses, deep blue colors spread across the sky. Shadows drifting through a sleeping downtown, only the roads still seem awake tonight. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, midnight transmissions flowing endlessly. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, gliding through waves of neon light. City reflections trembling through the glass tonight, mixing with the static from the FM. Tonight, the lights still haven't faded out. Headlights cutting through the interchange lanes, white lines keeping rhythm underneath me. Late night signs with unfamiliar names now, melting into deep electric blue. Amber flashes dancing on the tachometer, synthesizers echo softly through the cabin. Every time another curve approaches, the shape of night begins to slowly change. Passing underneath the elevated shadows, orange street lights starting to dissolve. Moving at a speed nobody notices, sliding deeper into the rest of night. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, freeway frequencies still running strong. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, passing streams of endless light tonight. Melodies buried deep inside the radio, moving in rhythm with the pulse of the streets. Tonight, the city still refuses sleep. Beyond the endless looping highways, midnight blue stretches farther into dark, leaving only tire sounds in the distance, flowing through the glass-lit city streets. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, as the final broadcast slowly plays. 3 a.m. on Channel 9, carrying the leftover heat of neon. Amber dashboard lights still softly glowing, pulling me into another waiting loop. Tonight, the night still hasn't reached the end. Deep blue colors drifting on the windshield, city listen on the dashboard. FM playing with the volume turned down low. Outside the window, the city keeps moving, while time slowly fades into the distance. Every time the traffic lights turn green now, headlights rush forward in restless motion. Even silhouettes reflected in the glass melt into the rhythm of the night. Fading dashboard lights, neon heat dissolving into darkness. Dashboard lights, gliding through roads that never sleep. City reflections flowing through the glass tonight, blending into midnight rhythms in the air tonight. The lights still haven't faded out. Interchange is fading through the rearview mirror. Red light trails ripple softly like a river. Fragments of laughter crossing through the traffic. Weekend energy still hangs in the air. Midnight blue reflected through the gauges. Synthesizers buried deep in FM static. Right before another sweeping curve arrives, my foot presses down without even thinking, passing underneath the shadows of the overpass. The outline of the city turns electric blue. This night still carries far too much remaining heat to quietly disappear into silent. Dashboard lights reflecting traces of disappearing light. Dashboard lights racing through elevated freeway lanes, a rhythm echoing deep inside the radio, beating in time with the pulse of the streets tonight. Amber reflections continue to sway, circling endlessly around the glass-lit city. Tire sounds dissolving softly into night, moving at a speed nobody ever notices, running through this moment endlessly. Fading dashboard lights, passing through the waves of neon light. Fading dashboard lights, tracing outlines hidden in the dark. Final amber reflections softly fading, flowing toward another waiting loop tonight. The lights still haven't faded out. Headlights tracing circles on the overpass, white lines sliding across the glass walls, holding on to the leftover heat before midnight. The city still refuses to slow down. Synth reflections bleeding through the FM, neon swaying every time I change lanes, trying to outrun the rhythm of the beat. eat this night alive. Every shadow underneath the overpasses makes the city shimmer blue again. Moving at a speed nobody notices, breathing in rhythm with the night itself. Stay on the loop, driving on roads that never seem to end. Stay on the loop, chasing after leftover neon heat inside the waves of fading city lights, sliding toward another waiting loop tonight. I don't wanna leave this moment yet. Passing through the towers made of glass, streaming lights of pain and speed tonight. Freeway traffic starting to grow restless, FM static melts into the city lights. Cold coffee riding quietly beside me, taking roots a little farther out, past the rows of red and white reflections. Weekend heat is finally waking up. Every curve beneath the overpasses opens up another shade of blue. Not because I'm trying to get somewhere, I just want this night to last a little more. Closing time radio, chasing after leftover neon heat. Closing time radio, gliding through roads that never sleep. A melody buried deep inside the radio, moving in rhythm with the city streets tonight. This night is nowhere near the end. Neon shining off the glass reflections, fading slowly deep inside the mirrors. Right before the traffic light turns green now, my foot finds the accelerator again. Amber waves across the tachometer, lines of light are slipping past the lane. Late night voices drifting through the speakers, rough around the edges but it feels right. Driving with no destination, waiting, following the movement of the lights. This city still holds too much remaining heat to let the silence settle in tonight. Closing time radio, cutting through the wind, still holding warmth. Closing time radio, racing through the curves of elevated roads. And FM station fading in and out, starts to play another song tonight. Tonight, I still don't wanna let go of the wheel. Orange street lights slowly fall behind me. Deep blue shadows cover up the sky. Moving at a speed nobody notices, falling into rhythm with the night. Closing time radio, I'm not ready to let this feeling in. Passing through the towers made of glass, the night begins to flow beyond the window. Freeway lights are starting to grow crowded. FM radio blurs the city glow. Unfinished coffee, riding shotgun, keeping pace that nobody controls. Passing rows of fading red tail lights. I'm not ready for this night to close. Through the gaps between the overpasses, deep blue traces still remain above. Not because I'm heading somewhere special, I just wanna stretch this moment out. Last call runner, carrying the leftover heat of neon. Last call runner, gliding through roads that never sleep. A melody buried beneath radio static still refuses to let go of me. Tonight, it's still too early